as we call them. They are trying to do them now, but they still need people who are entrepreneurial in their spirit to guide them. In California, in the university, the Stanford University, had a dean of faculty of engineering. He was the one doing both mentoring and coaching job. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your time. I know we overpushed.
It was really nice to know about your country and just a briefing from her.
Hi, I'm Shelley Hunt. I give you 2 bars so you know who I am, because I want to address on both sides of everything that was said. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States, under a house, literally with 1 pair of shoes at a time. I now have 6 companies, actually 5. I just sold one for $4.5 million. And the reason I tell you this is not out of ego. It is truly out of understanding where I came from. And it's not about what you have, it's about who you are in the world. Who you are. And it's kind of one of those things, who you are speaks so loudly I can't hear a word you're saying. Right? Have you ever heard somebody, the words come out but it doesn't match? Or it just sounds like, and just check out. Who checked out? I checked out. Right? We do it all the time in our life. We check out all the time. I went on to understudy Warren Buffett. Bob Proctor raised me from the time I was 6 years old. Some of you may know him from this little book called The Secret. So I understand humanity. I understood giving back. I understood I was connected to Source, or whatever word you want to call it. As a matter of fact, my mantra, every time I get up in the morning, I say, please, Lord, or Source, or God, or whatever you choose to call it. I call it God. Let me hear and let me respond with less lag time. Imagine if we operated that way. Let me hear and let me respond with less lag time. So I grew up understanding humanity, oneness, camaraderie versus competition. I never see competition. The only competition is me. To be better tomorrow than I am today. And better today than I was yesterday. So having grown up with my mother under this house, needless to say, she had never owned a business. So I went on this mission. When Bob was raising me, I said, I get it. I get, harmony, and I get humanity. And I get frequency, and I get karma, and I get those that serve succeed. But I live in this 3-dimensional planet, don't I? So I can say all these things, but if I don't have cash to pay for things, I can help a lot more people with money than without it. So I went on a mission, because I said more than just movie stars or extremely successful people own multiple businesses. How do they do it? I want to get the game, the 3rd-dimensional game. How do I take my dreams, my aspirations in the etheric, because that's where it comes from, Source, and how do I bring it to the masses in deliverable systems? That's what I do. And I did it for Branson. I did it for Virgin. I helped diversify Virgin Airlines. So I went on this mission, this career thing. M3, might have heard of them in the UK. Kimberly-Clark, Worldwide Brands. And so I worked for all of these big entities. And then, it was really interesting. They would ship me to Australia, they'd ship me to Fiji, or they'd ship me to these places, and I was in these beautiful compounds or resorts. And I said, I want to go see what the rest of this island is like. That was the start of a journey, a whole other side of my life. And then I found myself in a village in Fiji where they were growing ground fruit. And I sat on the ground with these children who slept together in a tent, no health care, no clean water. Children didn't know any different. They were very friendly. I thought to myself, I wonder what the heck the crime rate is like here. And they said, oh, it's very, very low. I said, are you kidding me? There was a camaraderie. There was a community. I started this mission. I said, I could retire right now. Worked for these big corporations, and I said, I need to do something more. And I don't know about you, but I think we all know inside us what the something more is that calls us. And it could be animals, and it could be elderly, or it could be, environment, education. There's something inside you that burns. Whether you acknowledge it or not, it's there. Nobody needs to tell you what it is. For the love of God, don't hire somebody to find your purpose. You know your purpose. You may be afraid of it a little bit, but you know what it is. It speaks to you. So I ended up forming this group called the Women of Global Change. And if anyone had ever told me when I was starting, I don't know if I would have started it. One of those. Where you do the grunt work and you're like, what the heck did I get myself into? So we're 500,000 strong worldwide. And the preface is, somebody reached out their hand to me under that house. And it goes like this. I'm climate sister, you're with me. That's how we play. That's how we educate each other. And we serve together. I tell people all the time, you can look at our chapters of the things that we do. We serve together. We grow together and we build together. I believe that you're absolutely right. We don't have systems in place. I believe we are not educated financially at all. I believe we have a lot of women out there that are ready to be entrepreneurs, but they need to know how. I believe in the only thing that stops us is ourselves and our belief. So why is social impact so important? And I know we're short on time. And I hope you'll join me later and we'll catch each other in a hall or something. But social impact is because we are at a time on the face of this planet, more than ever before, where it is time for women to come together and rise for the sake of humanity. Not us against men. Okay. All right, so we don't have a lot of time, but anyways, whatever it is that fires you up, whatever that little spark is, take it on.
Thank you. Quite an interesting topic, and we want to just go on and on. But we have another session at 3:30 that is building youth for the future and creating sustainable energy for entrepreneurs, education, and leaders among women and children in economically challenged communities. And we have already, our speakers are here. I would request speakers. And I request speakers for a group photograph. For a group photograph.
Yes, look at that. Wait. 1 second, ma'am. Hold it. 1 second.
You should stand on this too. Yeah. What's your start?
Excuse me.
Really. Like this. This is like, whoa. No, this is my video. Beautiful. I feel that. Yes, okay. Very well, sweet.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I accept what you're doing. I have a startup and working in food agriculture.
Where are you?
Looking at
Where do you
farmers.
you're working with farmers. Very challenging area. If you for me, we can talk. But that's
A lot of synergies of what we're doing.
yeah. Good. Talk to me a little bit about you and yes, about we are working with the family now.
Yes, I'm aware.
Tough one.
That's
Very blessed one.
You're an inspiration. Thank you.
I request everybody to sit down.
Just sit and watch. It's our time that I keep your now here. It wants to be here. And then certain parts is from the third eye to the hardest part is from the second section. Because this if you have not planned thank you. This is the most difficult. For me, this one, it is sometimes I try to find myself here. Not the heart. That is why
See if I have another one. Oh, here's my other one. My Women in Global Change cards are. You can find them.
I'll give you one to someone else.
We still have to learn.
I want to give it out at the weekends.
You're giving it other people.
Have one of my business cards. So that's what I should do. For two or asking. Do you know? No, not you. Is it Bob? He was in the city. Oh, Bob. You know Dr. John?
I have a love for you from She told me to look you up, so I came to try you.
I'll be back Thursday.
thank you so much. You are the most, I think I have never ever met a sane person like you. Ever. It's impossible.
Excuse me. It's just a station outside.
You're giving everybody else's out right now.
Sorry. After you. I'm so sorry. Please tell me I have to start with it. Should we start?
session is about building youth for the future, creating sustainable energy entrepreneurs, education and leaders among women and children in economically challenged communities. I have speakers here. Let me introduce. I have Johanna, I have Laura, I have Poonam, Regina, Sindu, Tania, and Regina. I welcome you all, and we may just begin the session.
Oh, thank you very much. So, are we going to introduce ourselves first, or just start our stuff and go on? Okay, so I'll just go on, and then pass on. Okay. So, good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming, and I'm very thankful for being here for the whole experience. My theme is building youth for the future, and the reason why I chose to be a panelist on this session is because I do many things, but one of the things I do is teach English. And as an English teacher, I felt throughout the years that the challenge was not just teaching a language, was bringing students more opportunities to be everything they can be. And it is a privilege to be a language teacher, because then we have CLIL, which means we can go through all sorts of subjects and bring many different experiences to our students within the context of language learning. So the thing for me is that everyone has their dreams. And when I was a child and a teenager, I had the dream of bringing something better to the world, bringing change. And I realized that that hasn't changed, that I work with teenagers, adults, children, etc., but I'm going to focus more on teenagers now. So teenagers today also have those dreams. Not more or less, but they have the same dreams we've all had as humans. What can I do to make the world a better place? And I come from Portugal, and in Portugal, my generation of adults has somehow become very protective of children and youth, and don't let them do much, and give them everything, spoon feeding, you know. So I believe that in education, and now more and more, it's not a question of spoon feeding, it's a question of mentoring students to be everything they can be, and in this challenging them, bringing them opportunities to do things themselves, believing that they are capable, and therefore giving them the opportunity to be capable. And in this sense, we started creating at our school what I call collaborative projects, which include language use, but include sometimes the mother tongue as well, mixed. And they also include inclusion itself, so bringing more people from different walks of life together and bringing different kinds of experiences for teenagers to develop in their own way through language learning and not also. So what I'm going to share with you very quickly, because we only have a short time here, is the collaborative projects we've been doing in the last year. And one day I held a painting workshop with one of my adult students, who's a painter. She said, I'd like to share with teenagers that anyone can paint. Say, okay, how does that relate to English? Let me find a way. So, of course, I developed some sort of language curriculum, vocabulary, and stuff like that. But then the point was for the students to realize that through painting they could express their emotions, and more than that, they could realize that they were capable of much more than they thought they were. So we held this painting workshop, and at the end of that, we produced two paintings because it was a group painting. Everyone was collaborating on one painting and on another painting. And a young girl comes up and says, what are we going to do with this? We can't break it up and take it home. We could always leave it on the walls of the school, but why don't we go further? So she suggested somehow fundraising with the paintings. And that took us into a project which we are now developing. And this year we are benefiting the Africa Life Education Foundation, which belongs to Gertrude Mache, who unfortunately couldn't come. But she's a wonderful lady who has an ONG called Africa Life Education Foundation in Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe is an English-speaking country. Therefore, my students, of course, have to communicate in English throughout the project. And as this develops, they will also be communicating with students in Zimbabwe that they will have benefited themselves. So we produced more paintings, held an ongoing sort of an auction, and now we only have one. So we had 8, and we have managed to raise a very good amount with those paintings. And then we decided to also create a concert, but this concert, a fundraising concert. The concert is not organized by adults. It is fully organized by teenagers, with teenage artists, for teenagers, to benefit children and teenagers, right? And the public is basically teenagers and their friends and parents and so on. This is going to happen on the 19th of May in 2 different towns at the same time, but next year we would like it to be in different towns around the world and to benefit more than one foundation, to benefit several foundations. So in this case, we're benefiting the Africa Life Foundation, but also a local foundation. 1 in our town, 2 in our town, 2 in the other town. And the point behind this is what? So where's the English? There's English all over the place, actually, nowadays. So the artists, for example, most of them are performing in English. They have to communicate in English for all sorts of organizational situations. And basically they're learning that nothing is impossible because, as you all know, organizing something has its challenges. And so when they come, we have meetings every week. They come to the meeting and say, oh, this is too hard, that's going to be impossible. And the first thing we started by learning was that word, impossible, is not allowed in this project. So if you come into something that seems challenging and the way doesn't show that way, then you go and look for another way. But it does not exist impossible. So we're now 2 weeks from it and I'm here and I'm arriving on the 19th, which is the day of the concert. And I'm very, very peaceful about it because I know that they're doing a fabulous job over there, taking care of all of the details, and they don't need any adult running after them because the fact that I'm not there made them even more responsible because they know that it's up to them to honor all of the artists that they invited, because they invited the artists who are their friends and colleagues. So they need to honor all of that. So that's what I wanted to share with you. We've got other collaborative projects. I can share that with you at another time. And that is, for me, building youth for the future. Okay, so thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I didn't hear that. Oh, let's do a little better. Can I ask all of you to get up? Be on your feet. And I feel that, sometimes we are very feeble to listen to when we have low energy. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to remove some of that bad negative energy from ourselves. So this is what we are going to do. Can you just bend down, take all your negative energies and bring it up and push it to the person on your left. And once more, just bend down, get all the negative energy, and push it to the person on your right. And now you tap on their shoulders and tell them, I didn't really mean it. You are great. You're great. Please take your seat. My name is Sindu, and I'm from Singapore originally. I'm from the southern tip of India. It's called Kerala, but I have been living in Singapore for the past 20 years. And I have been consulting on business and innovation to corporates as well as individuals. A few years earlier, I realized that it's very difficult, not difficult, it's more time consuming to change the mindset of adults compared to children. And at the same time, I was thinking, if I'm able to impart some of these skills and mindset to children when they are young, they can actually achieve much more than what the adults who need to break those barriers. So I have this education company called As Many Minds, which focuses on infusing more and more innovation into education. We have products, we have services, we have workshops for teachers, children, as well as for the community. So today we are going to talk about youth and the future of youth. That reminds me of something. A few months back, I met this young man. He had just finished A-level in Singapore. A-level is equivalent to grade 12 in India. He told me, Sindu, I do not want to go and waste my time in university. I have an idea about a software that I want to build, and I'm going to start a company and develop that software and sell it because that software is for space projects. 2 weeks back, I met him again, and I asked him, well, how is your project going on? How is your company? And he says, you know what? I don't think it's going to work. Last week, Elon Musk announced something, and that actually need to make use of all the ideas that I have. Do you know who Elon Musk is? Elon Musk is the typical poster boy of all the innovation in the world currently. He has got entrepreneurship in space. He was behind PayPal. He's talking about building interface between brain and technology. So he says that this boy tells me that I don't think it's going to work. What do you think? Is his thinking right? Why? Excellent. Any other reason why you think he's right or he's wrong? He thinks that his venture is not going to work. I think there are 3 reasons. I did not obviously agree with him. There are 3 reasons. One is he thought that his opportunities are limited. Number 2, he felt that his abilities are limited. Number 3, he looked at Elon Musk as a competitor, but not as a collaborator. And that was enough for him to say that he didn't want to pursue his dream. In today's youth, you can see many youth, a lot of youth who come say that I have my big dream and there is no limit to my dream. I can achieve anything. But then when they come across an obstacle, they feel that I cannot do it. Why is that so? I call it the lack of 4 C's, C as in letter C, in their lives. Number 1, coming up with ideas, creating ideas. If Google thought that Yahoo was there, the founders of Google thought that Yahoo is there, it's a search engine, it can take care of everything that we have in our mind, Google would not have born. And today, look at where Google is and where Yahoo is. And you can do the same, you can achieve the same target in alternate ways. But our education system trained all our minds in such a way that we think that there is only one answer for a question, the right holy grail of answer. There are different, so that's the power of having creativity or not having creativity. Number 2, the confidence in your creativity. I have ideas. I'm not comparing my ideas with others. I have an idea and I do believe in that potential of that idea, or enhancing that idea, or make it into another idea. Because an idea is not an idea if it doesn't have the potential to grow. So the number 1 C is creativity. That's lacking, unfortunately, in all education systems, because I work with all sorts of systems in the world. Number 2 is that confidence. As I said before, having that confidence in their own ideas. Number 3 is what I said about Elon Musk earlier. Looking at every person that you see on the street as competitors, but known as collaborators. That is very important. When I was young, I studied in India. I did, until my engineering, I studied in India, and then I did my MBA in the US, and I worked in 7 different countries, and I realized that what I learned doesn't have anything to do with what I was working with. Then that collaborative power, our grading system is actually destroying the collaborative power. When I was young, if I got at least 1 mark more than my best friend, I was happy. She's my best friend, that's okay, but I need at least 1 mark more. What if she and I can win together? That is collaboration. Both of us can win together. And this is, okay, so what was the first one? Creative. Second one? Third? Collaboration. Excellent. So what could be the 4th C? Mm-hmm. How will people know about your ideas? Communication. Excellent. It's not just communication, it's effective communication. People do not have time to sit and listen to you. The better you say, it always depends on how you say, and of course what you say matters. So how do you do that communication? And if we can enrich our children with these 4 C's, they are actually capable of moving to whichever level they want to. Because the era that is coming up is the era of change. Many studies prove that by the time the youth of today finish 15 years in their workforce, they would have changed 18 to 16 jobs. That's almost like 1 job every year. Probably it's applicable to you as you look very young. It's about at least 1 job a year. And we are just at the entrance of the gig economy. Gig economy means people do not like to work for long years on the same project or for the same employer. Employers are beginning to realize that, and they are also recruiting people on short-term basis for project, for consulting, and so on. So what is it in that gig economy? That means you have to go there, you have to learn everything fast, you have to gel in within the team, you have to deliver. And what is constant in that? It's change. And with change, you need to learn faster. And that is what the 4 C's are going to give to our youth of today. But our mind is still thinking different. A few months back, I was on a national radio in Singapore. It was a live program, a live interview. The moment I started talking about creativity, we started getting hoarse. And one man asked me, yes, Ms. Sindu, you are talking about creativity. How are we going to create creativity? It's possible to create creativity, but what we need to do is to change that grading, how we grade. Because we have been trained to look at everything as subjects. We look at mathematics, we see science, we see social studies or economics or anything, and when people say art or creativity or innovation, we are trained to look at it as another subject. It's time to change that. But then our youth cannot wait for that. Changing the whole system needs time. So what we need who are parents in this group? Excellent. Who are educators in this group? Very good. And others, have you seen children? Yeah, okay. So together we can do a lot. We can do a lot as parents. We can do a lot as educators. We can do a lot as community members. Being there for the youth, being there for them, and bring out the force, seizing them, because that's what brings the future for them. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I have to move to another session, so I'm just. Oh, you look. Oh, so do you all have to? Okay. No, actually, both of us have to go for other sessions. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah. So you can listen. Yeah. You can go after me. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, okay. So, will you? Okay, I'll speak from there. No worries. Okay. No worry, I'll speak. Oh, this has to be done, right? Yeah. Okay, so essentially, sorry, I have to go for another session, so I'm just taking me. So we run a startup called Tanu Naturals. It's basically with organic food and natural foods, and we basically work with small-scale farmers across the country, 3,000 of them. And a lot of it is very grassroots related with rural India and remote villages. I travel a lot. We have a team in Mumbai, and yes, we're going to be talking about sustainable energy here. A lot of it has to do with youth. It has a lot to do with building future, because we're talking about sustainable development here. We're talking about lifestyle shift. We're talking about health. And how do we actually do that? So this is a case study and extremely practical of how to do it. Because when we're actually working with youth and a lot of farmers, and we actually work with a lot of youth, and they're all in rural India. Some of them don't have opportunities. They've never been to school. They are doing farming, and a lot of them want to leave farming, and that's a reality. They don't want to grow your food anymore, because the food you get on your table, you take it for granted. But actually, there's a lot of blood and sweat which has gone in there to get that food to be growing. So here it is that sustainable energy is also about yourself. It's about being grounded, and it's what is it that you consume, which is food or what, like water or anything, and how much of energy is required to actually produce that little bit of thing. It could be clothes, it could be anything. So we're talking about a lifestyle shift here. So my topic here about sustainable energy is a case study of something which we've done on the ground in a village called Nasik. It's in a village near Bombay, in a district Nasik. And what we did was that we grew cherry tomatoes. Now cherry tomatoes is extremely, it's used for Italian restaurants, and there's a really high demand. And there are some Italian people here. And we focus a lot on indigenous seeds. Now seeds, right? There is something called as genetically modified seeds. And the GMOs and the seeds which we use right now, hybrid varieties, a lot of it, they're actually, they don't reproduce themselves every year. So the farmers get dependent on the seed, right? And the seeds come from multinational companies, they come from laboratories, which is a serious issue here. So when we actually talk about building futures, psychology, we talk about building the mind, health, etc. Actually, your life is dependent on one seed. That indigenous seed has information in the DNA, right? So if there is something which is bred in a laboratory and comes on your table, there is something seriously wrong with our economy and the world, because our life, our freedom, and what we consume has been determined by another external agent, which could be a company, it could be a multinational company, right? So let's talk about the food, right? And when we are actually consuming, when the farmers are actually producing that food, it's done with chemicals and fertilizers. So what you consume right now on your plate is filled with a lot of artificial chemicals, fertilizers, different things which you don't even realize. And therein comes the health breakdowns. So then we have an entire healthcare medicine industry just so that you eat chemical food, and when you fall ill, it's going to support you to get back to normal. So is that normal? No, it's not normal. So when we actually talk about building youth and sustainable futures, etc., let's talk about nitty-gritties and basic things which are food, water, taking care of the mind. We don't even know how to breathe anymore. I would say, just example, if you stop breathing for 2 minutes, right? How will you live your life? So then the third thing is breath. So these are 3-4 things I'm talking about when we actually talk about sustainable energy. And why is it connected to sustainable energy? Why? Because we are talking about petrol, we are talking about fertilizers, we're talking about chemicals. And actually our entire economy is dependent on energy, right? It's all dependent on energy. But the basic things are what? Food, water, breath. So the food, water, breath, and I know it's a bit complicated what I'm trying to explain, but I want you to think very deeply on this, right? Our entire economy is dependent on food, water, energy, a lot of these things, what we consume, right? But all that thing which is actually manufactured and made is dependent on sustainable and on energy, which is petroleum, fossil fuels, chemical fertilizers. So it's all a vicious cycle. And when actually you realize all these things, you're like, oh wow, what I'm consuming, what I have on my plate, what I'm wearing is depend on something external. So therein lies the sustainability of how do you change the core of it. The core of getting certain things, local food, local, water which you clean and things like that. And therein lies the solution. So that's why we came up with something. Can you go back to the last slide? Yeah. We took up one basic example in the community. It was a tribal community. And we were like, of course, we were growing millets, we were growing many things. But lately, they have started growing something for the market, which is in Bombay, right, Mumbai. And they started growing chemicals, fertilizers, started using genetically modified seeds because the market requires them to do that, right? Because the consumers were not up for actually consuming what they have been growing for centuries. And also somewhere down the line, they've been told that and brainwashed to use that this is what you should be growing, this is how you should be growing it. So anyways, what we did is we took indigenous seeds. What is an indigenous seed? Basically, you can make different seeds out of that seed. You don't have to depend on it from the laboratory. Somebody doesn't have to give it to you. It's not poison, right? So we grew this. And we realized that we can actually create an end product, which is sun-dried tomatoes. Just go to the next one. Yeah. And we made a proof of concept. And we realized when we talk about sustainable energy, it can be something very simple. It can be a very simple thing which does not use electricity. So basically we invented something called a solar dryer. And this is something you can do in your backyard. Instead of like throwing away bananas and fruits and etc., you can actually sun dry it. And that is the use of sustainable energy. We've all heard of solar energy. We've all heard about canvassing our buildings with solar energy. But actually, I know solar energy is the best and renewable energy, we have to do that. But actually sustainable energy can be as simple as something like that, like 3 bamboos with certain stacks of different cloth, and you put the tomatoes there and they become this amazing sun-dried pickle, like with olive oil. So when I talk about local food and something which grows in the field with chemical pesticides, are we making that connection now? With genetically modified seeds. Instead, if you grow your local food in the house with indigenous seeds, with good organic soil, right? And then you actually do something out of it, make pickles or something like that and make your own food, then that is the shift of lifestyle we're talking about. And that's what we're talking about, growing the economy, growing youth, growing jobs, growing lifestyles, shifting lifestyles. So that is where the whole circle ends with that. Let's go to the next one. So what we did is we actually did that. We grew this. I'm a farmer myself. We put this in seed trays and we actually did that. The next one. And we use fertilizers which we made ourselves. It's a very interesting thing. In India, we have something called as the desi cow. The Indians, do you know about it? The desi cow, the indigenous cow. Now, I want to tell you a secret about this. The Indus civilization, and is this very complicated and technical? If I am, please stop me. Is this technical, the knowledge which I get? No, it's okay. The Indus Valley civilization. Yeah, 2 moments. The Indus Valley civilization in India has a cow seed, the indigenous cow variety, right? Now, agriculture, and India has thrived for 10,000 years on agriculture. The food, we've been known as the rice bowl of the world. Why? Because we have used the microorganisms of the indigenous cow variety for centuries. But what happened is after post-independence, we actually introduced the Jersey cows imported from the West, which does not survive in the Indian environment. So as a result, we actually inject the cows to produce milk and also give a milk variety which does A1 vitamin, which is not actually digested by the body. So we import our products and then we expect the farmers to actually depend on that for fertilizer and also for food. So this is just an example. So we actually make our fertilizers with an indigenous cow, which is very rare now. Why? Because we castrated a lot of the cows. And we find our indigenous Indian varieties in Brazil and New Zealand, and not so much in India. So these are certain things which many people don't know about. So we made our biopesticides and fertilizers, which are completely in-house, and we basically figured this out, and we are now supplying to restaurants and different places. Next one, I'll just finish in 2 minutes. So this is the final solar dryer we made, which is completely DIY, and it dries things very well. And this is the use of sustainable energy. Basically, how do you actually make and come up with your own solution for your house, which is the best use of it. For example, it could be anything from usage of AC, your air conditioning. It could be anything from using it for your car, gasoline. It could be like even for rural energy. It could be replacing kerosene, which is rampantly used in India. It could be it could be your food, because food uses chemicals and pesticides. Going organic is sustainable energy. It is about your food miles, whether you only prefer imported food versus local food. That is also sustainable energy use. Next one, please. And yes, so finally, this is what we made: local food and grown by farmers with the use of sustainable energy. And now we are scaling up to 100 acres of land by natural farming trainings. And basically replicating it with small-scale farmers, and planting seed trays, reaching out to more and more people. We created a greenhouse which is extremely small-scale, and again, it's completely small-scale technology, and that is the best use sustainable energy. Thank you.
I invite Regina for her session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Regina Robinson. I am the CEO and founder of Suited for Success Global College Planning Services. And so today's topic is building youth for our future. Nelson Mandela, the late Nelson Mandela, once said that education is the most powerful weapon in which one can use to change the world. And we have to begin with our youth. You know, the school system has become a thing where it's all about testing. And so not back to the ground root of where we really were learning. And so we have to take our children back to learning from ground root and instilling in them the resilience to know that they have to see beyond today. Right now, they see everything that's going on today, but we have to make sure they're preparing for the future also. And in preparing for the future, we have to make sure that they understand the one key word that I believe is so important, and that is action. And so our kids are now in a fast-paced microwave society, and that doesn't really require them to take much action. And so we have to instill in them the importance of seeing beyond today, and in that, moving in action, moving in tenacity, and most importantly, moving with perseverance. So action becomes an acronym to me. And so the A means they have to accept responsibility for their actions. And so we have to instill in them that education is the one thing they're going to need to progress from now, tomorrow, and in the future. And we have to instill in them what they will need, and what does that mean? Finishing high school successfully, and then going on to pursue higher education, whether that is immediately or after going in the military and then going into higher education, but understanding that it is important for them to take on that responsibility. And then C, we must instill in them the courage to move even when things seem like it's tough, because they are going through a lot of things as youth. Not just dealing with education, but they're dealing with peer pressure and just a personal life of just day to day. And so we have to instill in our kids and our youth courage. Courage to create opportunities, courage to get out there and make things happen that they want to happen, right? And then T, we have to make sure that they have the tenacity to move, the tenacity to take action, and the tenacity to, most importantly, believe in themselves. Because so many people are telling them that maybe this is too hard, maybe that's not the career you should go into because it doesn't pay a lot of money. But in fact, it's something that they love to do and they're passionate about doing. So we need to make sure that they pursue what it is that they can be, for the eye, inspired to move with. And so when we can get our kids inspired by what they do, then they will invest more in what's possible for their future. And so inspiring them means exposing them to things like this. I met a parent in the hall who brought her 15-year-old daughter here. And I was honored because I, too, am the parent of a 15-year-old. And so she traveled here from the States with her daughter. Amazing, because this is an opportunity you will never forget. And this is an experience that you will cherish and take with you. Am I right? Yeah, so she's amazing here, 15 years old, experiencing a conference in a whole other country here in New Delhi, India. And so we need to get our children in the future to see the future, right? So today she laid eyes on what the future could be like. But there are so many students and kids who never even get a glimpse of what their future is going to be like, so they don't quite have the hope of what the future has in store for them. And so, we need to make sure that our kids understand that opportunity is not given, but it's made. See, we believe our children in the microwave society believe that everything is going to be given to them and that they don't have to work hard to get it. But when they value the opportunities, they begin to make the opportunities. So they begin to go out there and they want to be the Steve Jobs, and they want to be the Bill Gates. But Bill Gates and Steve Jobs had a lot of work to get to where they were. They created those opportunities. They didn't get those opportunities handed to them. They put in the work. So we have to make sure our children are willing to put in the work and inspire them to seize all opportunities. And in the end, we have the last one, and that is to never give up on themselves. Because if some of us could think back to when we were maybe 12 or 13 or 15, what's the one thing you wish you could tell yourself? Anybody? What's the one thing you would like to have said to yourself at 12 or 15 that would have changed where you are today? Never give up. Anyone else? Believe in yourself. Anyone else? 15, 12, what would you say? Yeah.
Relax and enjoy the process.
Relax and enjoy the journey and the process, right? So if I had to think back to 12 or 15 and tell myself, and that is to believe I am enough, right? That I have everything within me to be able to do whatever I set out to do, as long as I deem it important for what it is. See, nothing stands in the way of your future but you. And so no one can stop you from getting to your destination but you. And so we need to remind our children and encourage and inspire them to believe that they have everything that they need to move forward. They have everything to be the next generation of future leaders, doctors, lawyers, senators, president. Everything they need is within them, but we have to remind them now that they are the future for tomorrow. So thank you guys so much again. I'm Regina Robinson.
Hello, I am Moschini. I come from Italy, from where I teach at University Roma 3, and I teach social ethics from a gender perspective. My panel was creating sustainability, energy entrepreneurs, education and leaders amongst women and children in economically challenging communities. I know I have a few minutes, so I try to be fast. As we know, much is said about sustainability, female employment, the need to encourage women to undertake studies and jobs in technological fields to bring in them human qualities considered feminine as innovation and creativity. In reality, they often intend to have skilled job workers at lower cost because of gender pay gap. Anyway, even in the UN 70 Sustainable Development Goals, they go in this direction. But beware. The premise clearly shows the transversal goal of the empowerment of all girls and women in all 17 goals, as well and in specific number 5. Not only employment for women, as often they tend to intend good education and stop to poverty, but overall to let them empower themselves. As we know, many studies and researches tell that in many countries around the world, increasing electrification and above all sustainable electrification can increase not only women employment but also the empowerment and the health of women. At the same time, the whole population would benefit from greater psychophysical well-being and hence better quality of life for everybody. In addition, a woman competent and active in traditional male fields can be a model able to change the perception of younger generation over sexual roles and activities considered by nature more suitable for men and women. All these could, in summary, favor the cultural change needed to implement gender mainstreaming through gender equality, which is the actual goal both the European Community Agenda for 2020 and the UN for 2030. In fact, both toward economical, institutional, environmental and social sustainability intend transforming our world. So while it's true that generally the costs for electrification sufficient to ensure healthy living conditions are very high, some good practices we saw before in the speech before demonstrate that with environmental sustainable low-cost solutions, it's possible to promote female entrepreneurship and with it women empowerment and health. An example is Solar Sister project, very interesting project, and another very interesting project is made in Rwanda through the use of pellets instead of wood in the kitchen or in the house. So the benefits, as we have told, will not be limited to women, but will benefit the entire population, thanks to, on the one hand, higher household income, and on the other hand, the possibility of using more energy at a lower cost from the whole community. This means, on the one hand, to provide homes with clean and eco-sustainable energy, and on the other, promote simple and innovative technologies involving women not only in their use, but also in their design and implementation. UN Women, aware of the effectiveness of energy literacy for African women, for another example, has launched capacity building projects aimed to implementing both women technical skills in solar technology through appropriate training courses and empowerment. However, the benefits of such initiatives relate not only to energy production, but also to energy savings, due to the particular interest of women towards savings and energy efficiency. In Europe, for an example, single women use up to 22% less energy than single men and are more ready for savings action. The data are on equalclimate.org. This is of great importance all over the world, because women are still today the main responsible for domestic energy management. According to what has been said, the renewable or invisible barriers to the active participation of women in traditionally considered male sectors goes through the experimentation of local projects, good practices that can also be replicated through adjustments to make them tailor-made for every reality. However, it is strategic that such good practices, after being realized, are made known to the vast public, becoming normal practices, not more exceptional. I conclude this short intervention by saying that not always great achievements have to make big and expensive projects, but small and economical projects can produce even greater results thanks to resourceful management of resources, as any good mother of the family would do. So I finish because I have no time, and I hope to have been clear. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. So for finish, and talk very hard. My name is Johanna. I'm from Colombia. I want to put a little bit salsa because you are very tired in a moment. But I want to talk something very, very important. The solution for the claims check. Yes. So before to talk about the solution, we know say what is the problem on the world. The problem on the world is like we have poverty, we have the over people in the cities, the environmental degradation and poverty. The another cases that we have the claim chain is about the increased demand of products and consumption and the social system based in the old paradigms production. And they what's going on? The rapid warming on the our planet and hurry up increasing in the moment. Do you know what is this? This is the word. The put red is the sum that is half to problem in the word clay. So only the sum that is half the claim chain is in Latin America, Africa, and another part like India. So, like I talked my partner in the conference, the woman has a particular role on the economic, but is influenced to electricity. The energy plays a critical role and reduces the poverty, and the ability of energy service has the distinct impact of the lives of the poor people and the woman. Do you know why? Because the woman has a lot of time to worry about the family, about the job, about everything. So in this moment, we have to work for the clear energy, for the best, better, not only for you, for the whole family and the whole world. So in this room, know what's going on with the claim chain? You know what is going on in this moment to the claim chain on the world? Yes.
It's a global warming.
For what reason?
Because we are depleting the ozone layer, we are destroying the layer.
Yes. Air conditioner.
We are cutting a lot of trees.
Yes. Okay. So the principal problem is the whole activities for the human. That's it. What is the solution? The partners, my speakers, talk about the education, the power of the woman, getting the entrepreneur systems about renewable energy and education too. Yes, it's true. That the all is the solution. Here for developing the access information, like you talked about, the education, the information, the combined power. This is very important. If we have to get a better, the better life or future for the old generation, we have to do it by yourself, the change. So if we have to talk about the claim chain and we do it, we don't do it, nothing, we don't change. So for my presentation is inviting you that you change your activities and change the activities or inspire the another people to change their life. So that's it. My whole, if you want to, yeah. I will analyze what's going on with the global change. So, this is the society, the economy, the environment. We have to work together. So, an entrepreneur, young woman from Colombia, and this designed this trip for get a new solution. So we have to inspire another young people or another people about the virtual education for impact the society, sustainability, mobility, because some cities don't have the transportation but sustainability. Environment, society, and economy, and this is very important. This is very important. If you something like that, if you are entrepreneur but you don't have innovative technology, you can put or you can impact the economic, because all have together for the change. I don't know if you are agree with me, but for me, the change is the woman, the technology, the environment, and yourself. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'll just get this problem for a good photograph. If anybody wants to ask questions, you may ask them.
Is this two sessions combined?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get the kind of thread. Because there was youth and then there was GMO, sustainability. So, so I'm not very sure how.
Yes, there were two topics.
Yeah, how to frame questions. Because basically
you can ask questions youth related to
okay.
speakers and
okay. Yeah, I'm
it's just a smart wall.
Yeah, it looks like GMO too. Because they put in some other external.
Yeah, she had to go first, but she went on first.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know from the youth, people who are working with youth, because it said of not so privileged youth, right? That's what, and that's what interested me to come for the session. So I just wanted to know, and I think she spoke on English language learning and teaching, which is my area of work with children in India, because very many of our policies, educational policies, are getting rid of English, and they don't want English. We want to keep to our basic mother tongues, but and those are our government schools. We are having a big battle on it. Like in Goa, where I live, it's they want Konkani. Konkani is the state language. So children are taught up to 5th standard. All subjects are in Konkani. And then they are 6th standard, they are switched to English. And so a whole bunch of them drop out. And English is taught as a subject, not as a language. So the teachers are not. So this is spreading very rapidly, which is denying opening to the global. So that's the area I'm working with right now, which is terribly serious because policies are changing, and once government changes, it becomes a problem. So I just wanted to know, when you spoke of teaching in Portugal, because Goa and Portugal are pretty closely related. How do you go about it, and what is the system that you follow for children to pick up English?
Well, in Portugal we have two different systems. There's the public school system, and at this year it was implemented that children learn English from 3rd grade onwards. So that's a state policy that came in this year only. I work at a private language school. So usually the kids who come our way are the ones who can pay. Therefore, it's a different situation. So before, we used to get a lot of children. Now we're working more with older ages because now it's coming to the system. anyhow, the system, the teachers need to be trained. They were only teaching from 5th grade up, so now they all need to be trained to work with primary school children. So it's all a big change in education, and now the government is starting to want to implement the 21st century skills and the 4 Cs within the program, and then it's a big confusion because the teachers don't know what that is. They do not practice that in their own lives, and they're supposed to teach that to their students. So it's quite confusing at the moment, but change requires confusion. And after the confusion, then the sea will be calm and everything will have changed. So fortunately, change is happening right now, and I'm very happy as an educator to see it happening even in the confusion. And I'm not in there, fortunately, because I'm in private practice, so it's completely different. It has to happen. I'm very happy that it's happening. Destroy and reconstruct.
Can I add something to that? Well, it was surprising to know that the government wants to teach all subjects in Konkani, in the regional language, and then they teach English as a subject. There are many countries where this is followed, like they use their own language until grade 10 or until grade 12, and they move to English in university. Malaysia is a great example. In Malaysia, all schools, local schools, teach the kids study in Malay language, but everyone can speak English. So it actually depends on how you are teaching language. So that if you can, there are different options, right? You can either go in the way of the government, what the government mandated, but then you tell them how you can restructure the language education to make it more holistic and more useful. The other way is fight for what was there before. But in any case, there should be that innovative thinking there. What is the purpose? And take action for that purpose. And that's what helps.
Thank you. So can I answer that question in 2 seconds? So we have a tribal school we work with, one of the tribal communities in Andhra Pradesh. So what we discovered was that we learned Telugu, right, up to the grade 5, and which is actually really good because some Indian languages, the vocabulary is vast compared to English. English is it's an amazing language, but the vocabulary is extremely limited. So that's why we are sharper and intelligent than one of other kids because of the way they connect. But we started teaching them with phonetics. So the government school programs don't actually teach English with phonetics. So if you actually build that curriculum, then it's extremely easy to actually connect with the policy and just put a phonetics sort of curriculum. And I think that would actually create that change.
Okay, thank you everyone. We have the next session at 4:45.
Can we have all of you here for a group picture, please?
Excuse me. Please close.
Yeah. Look at this camera. Center यहाँ तुम्हारा भी है ना. हाँ okay. एक second. Okay ma'am. Okay.
No, you said you were taking your picture.
Yes. Okay, look here. Look this camera. Wait. Once again. Okay, done.
Can we have just one picture of the speakers, please?
Are you please? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Look at that. Hold.
Now I have that one. I need to have it all there. Thank you.
Hello, how are you? You're really good. Yeah? What? Are you really good?
Okay, so I'm
ठीक है